Hey you guys, so today it's been about 3.5 months since we made our Plantless Terrarium, and now you guys get to look and see what's going on inside of it since the last time we updated it. One of the biggest things we did with the last update is we did add some more water. We noticed that the soil was really drying out quite a bit and there wasn't a whole lot of plant growth. And I will say, since adding the water to this, there's been a heck of a lot more plant growth. In total, I would say there's at least 3 different distinct plant variations. I mean, one of them is kind of laying on the ground, but it's still alive. It's actually, since falling over, started to shoot out more roots from the end that kind of upended itself. So maybe part of it will start growing back upright. It doesn't seem like it's going that way, but with the introduction of a little bit more water that I'm definitely going to add, it might start kind of perking up a bit, or we might see some more action from it. Some of the big changes we've seen in this tank since the last update video is that the plant that's over by the stick in the middle has really spread out and grown a lot. It's actually grown quite a bit in width. It's not very tall, but it seems to be much more of a ground-like centric plant that grows out wide. And one of the neat things about it is it's also sent out kind of a runner or a secondary plant. We can see that there is a kind of a bridge that gaps the main plant to a secondary one. The second one is a lot smaller, but it's also sending out roots too. So it's neat to kind of see that that's happening. In the last video, we did have one that was a little bit of a taller plant, kind of in the front corner of the tank. I was a little worried that the lack of wind might keep it from really being able to strengthen up and being prepared to support itself. And that's kind of come true, it seems, because it's fallen over. It's still alive, and since falling over, I've seen the bottom of it actually shoot out quite a bit of roots. So maybe it'll perk back up, or maybe it'll send out another runner, kind of like the other plant I just mentioned, and kind of still have something going on. But I'm not having the most hopes for that. A new plant over by the Pinecone has popped up. In the previous video, it was just barely starting to break through the ground. It had kind of like 2 sets of leaves. And now it's definitely a lot taller. It's not huge by any means. It's still one of the smaller plants in the area, but its leaf patterns are very distinctly different from the other plants. Now, I'm not sure what it is yet, but it's neat to see that there's clearly 3 different variations of plants already. And that's not even including the liverwort, the moss, and possibly the algae I'm seeing as well. The pinecone is also, interestingly enough, started to open up. When we first got it, it was very closed. A lot of the blades or leaves, I'm not sure what they're called. I'm going to look it up after this. But a lot of the blades on the pinecone were really very close together, and now they're much more spread apart. I don't expect it to necessarily sprout, but it's interesting to see. I'm seeing the moss mostly in the corners and especially on the edges of the glass. Some of it might actually just be algae because there is humidity there, but it might be moss really starting to kind of establish in that area. So we'll have to wait and kind of see how that goes. In the corner back over here, there is some liverwort, and it was kind of neat to see because I didn't really expect to see any of that. I've had some grow every now and then when I make moss cultures, but I really wasn't expecting that, honestly. Something has been eating the log as well. There's a very distinct area where something has been just chewing away at, because I can see a lot of its droppings all piled up in one section. I'm pretty sure that's the millipedes. I've seen them going around the tank, and I even saw one earlier. So I think that they're definitely eating the log, and I think that they're also kind of putting poop all over our walls. So might have to clean that out. There are some white spots on both the soil and on the log, and maybe it's just because I've been watching videos about mushrooms, but I'm hoping that might be some mycelium. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but it would be neat to see some mushrooms popping up in this container. One thing with this container as well is, because I didn't seal it up except for just placing the glass on top, a lot of the moisture I think has been slowly making its way out. And as you can see, a lot of it's also on the wall. Because over the course of the time lapse, I've also noticed that the moisture in the soil has been slowly draining away. I can see the soil go from well, not really saturated, but a damp condition to a much more dry one. So between the last update video and this one, adding moisture to it really helped perk up and kind of breathe life back into a lot of these plants and soil. So I'm going to add some more moisture and spray this down again. It's been really exciting to see just how well the tank has been doing over the last couple months. The plants have really got some substantial growth, and although there might not be as much as we'd like to see, we haven't seen any really negative things going on like mold outbreaks. So it's been pretty stable. It just needs a little bit extra water every now and then. So hopefully we can start seeing a lot more growth here in the upcoming months as it continues to kind of settle in. In the last update video on this tank, we had asked you if you would be interested in sending us some of your dirt, and it seemed like enough of you were interested in that idea. So we're gonna go ahead and get that PO box set up and have a follow-up video with that information so you can send us some of your dirt. Now, depending on how many of you actually send us dirt is going to dictate the size of the container we're gonna use. We do have some smaller containers already on hand, but if we get enough dirt where it's larger than that, we're gonna have to get a larger container for all that. So make sure to watch out for that follow-up video, and we'll see you again next time.